All right, we got a beauty today on Players Only. We've got Cal Clutterbuck. You heard of what he's done over his whole career. Cal, thanks for joining us. But before we get into anything, there's some moments that stand out to me with your career. And I think probably 4 of the best goals you've ever scored. We wanted to show that to get things going.
Let's see him.
What do we got?
Oh, that's
a bad angle.
Oh, man. I forgot about that one with good reason, I think. All right.
That one hit my foot. That one's not on Schneider.
I remember this one. That was right before the bye week. We were all looking to get out of there.
So you had 4 total against Steids, I think it was.
That's more than I realized. I didn't realize you had that many, man.
I'll always remember the one I shot off the side of your head and into that. Because that is one of my favorite goals I've ever scored. Not that I've scored that many, but that one was awesome. I was like, I think it was a 5-on-3 too. So if I didn't put that in the corner, I was probably going to hear it, but it went in. So
knowing you now, I'm not surprised you tried to ear hold me with that shot. So it was a good shot. I'm surprised I didn't get yanked after that. It was a bad goal.
We've got some footage too. Things went the other way every now and then too.
Oh.
I think we got a little bit more.
Oh.
Not today.
There you go.
Got lucky on that one. They'll just falling back. Hopefully get a piece of it. I'm surprised you didn't go by my earlobes there too. I thought you were going high heat.
Well, I thought you knew I was going earlobes, so I tried to go low. But
yeah, rarely seen you go low, Cal. So when we talk about your career, there's so much to get into, but let's talk away from the rink a little bit. Like a lot of people don't know when you think of Cal Clutterbuck, when you think of hockey players, it's just on the ice, and that's all there is. But what's a day like today? You got back from Florida yesterday. You got a game against San Jose tomorrow. You got 4 kids at home. What's it like for you on a day like today, getting ready for a game tomorrow?
Today was typical practice day at the rink. I got home around 1:30, made myself a coffee. I have 4 kids. 3 of them are in school. So today I walked over to the school, picked River, my son, up, who's 5. The girls walk themselves home. They're old enough now, but, I'm here in the basement. You could probably hear the chairs clinking upstairs. It's homework time. A couple activities tonight. We'll do some driving, and, hopefully by 7, everyone's in the house and I could have a quick dinner, do a little reading, maybe watch some hockey, go to bed, get up tomorrow, and we all know what game days are like. So that's a typical day around here.
Let's go back a little bit to Minnesota. You broke into the league. I don't think many expected you to be the impactful player that you were as soon as you came into the league, and part of that was playing that physical brand that we've known and seen from you, and probably a little more wild back in the day. It probably would have helped when you look at the line mates on that, not line mates, but the teammates that you had that first year that allowed you to just go out and be you, be a bit of a rat. Guys like Derek Bugard, John Scott, Owen Nolan. What is like your first year in the National Hockey League, having those guys to back you up, and what were they saying to you to encourage you to just play your game?
Well, it was everything back then, and even at that, most teams had probably 5 or 6 guys that could really fight. So, for me, it gave me the freedom to go out there and be probably more than a little bit of a rat at times, but, it was great. And those guys were great. I've always had a lot of respect for guys who go out there and protect their teammates. And, through my career, I've been pretty blessed, even just, with Boogie being Boogie back in the day. Obviously no one really wanted to mess with him. And Owen Nolan, Cowboy could chuck him. He had a couple while I was playing with him that were pretty impressive. John Scott as well. And then coming to the Islanders, we had Karks and Eric Bolton, and we had our share of guys who could really handle themselves. And obviously Marty being on my wing for 10 years helps as well. But it really just gives you the freedom to go out there and be as physical as I wanted to be. And obviously I was pretty rambunctious my first couple of years, and but that was kind of me, and that's how I was going to make my mark on the game. And one thing's for sure, if I had to fight every night, I don't think I'd be sitting here talking to you guys after 1,000. That's for sure.
Well, we touched on your time in Minnesota, Cal. We played against each other quite a bit earlier in our careers when I was in Vancouver in the old Northwest Division. And I got to be honest with you, I couldn't stand you when you played for Minnesota. I hated you. Not knowing you, obviously, you used to mix it up with Burroughs and BX and Kessler all the time. Like, you were always out there just being a pain in the butt. But I wanted to ask you, Do you enjoy doing that? Do you get a rise out of that, or is it something that you just do because you know it makes you effective? And as you've gotten older, is it something that you still enjoy doing, or is it a little bit harder to do now in your old age?
Well, it's enjoyable, maybe. I think at times a little bit you feel like the rabbit in a greyhound race where everyone's kind of chasing after you a little bit. But it was just my personality is I like to be in the mix, and I like to be involved, and I'm just very competitive, and my way of being competitive is to just be very vocal, very involved, and I don't know if I actually actively tried to get under people's skin. I think the way that I was playing the game just naturally did that. But, once people start coming at you, it's an interesting thing. You definitely learn how to keep your head on a swivel.
Cal, you mentioned playing with Matt Martin and coming over, and for a decade now, you guys have pretty much permanent marker penciled in. You guys are going to be together with Casey Cizikas. You are the all-time hits leader in the NHL since the stats being kept. At number 2 is Matt Martin, and you guys can play as long as you want. But is there any part of you that, when you decide to step away from the game, that perhaps Marty is going to be the one to start it first, so that record right there that we see is going to be safe? Or is that something you guys joke about? Is that something you even care about?
I don't know if we've actually discussed it. It's a cool thing. I think him and I being 1 and 2, obviously, it just goes to show that I think both of us have had some longevity, and both of us have been able to be physical for a number of years, well into our 30s. And, I spoke about this when I end up breaking the record. It's, I think the most proud part of it for me is just the way that I've been able to just be consistent with it. And, I think it's one of those things where I was told a million times, A, that I wouldn't be able to play for a long time, that my body wouldn't be able to handle it, and B, that you come in the league as a crusher, and then you think you're a rusher, and then you become an usher, that old saying that everyone used to throw around. But I've been able to kind of stay true to who I am and what I do, and I genuinely still enjoy doing it.
Well, it's funny you mentioned your body holding up or not being able to hold up as people had told you. You got to 1,000 games the hard way, the way you play the game. I have a lot of respect for what you do out there and how you put your body on the line. Is there anything you do specifically that enables you to take that kind of wear and tear and punishment over the years, or is it just something you've always been able to do in your body type?
Well, you know me, Schneider. There's not a whole lot. There's not a whole lot that I do. I got to be honest with you.
Full rotation in the golf swing in the summer. It helps get you ready, right?
Listen, if it's not broke, don't fix it. I do work out in the off season the same as everyone else does. I try and keep my cardio in a position where I can go out there and be effective and keep up. But as far as during the season, I love a good coffee and a hot tub and sitting in my stall, taping my sticks, and away we go. I've never been one for long-winded routines, and I don't think I'd be able to handle it mentally, to be completely honest with you. And I'm not sure I would have played this long. I would have been exhausted from warming up alone. So I like to just get my mind in the right place. I like to sit in the hot tub for a bit, get the body warm, and I got my boy Jimbo gives me a little leg rub before the game, and that's it. The puck drops, away we go.
Well, Hicks, there's no better time actually to ask the all-time hits leader. I'd love to get your opinion, Clutter, on a hit that I want to show you here. And I heard about this hit when I got to the island. I remember watching it, but I remember the legend of it. Hicks's hit on Jonathan Drouin. 1 out of 10, what would you give that one?
That's a 10. I mean, I'm not even sure I've ever hit anybody that hard, honestly. I remember being on the bench, and honestly, like, I'm not joking, the whole bench was just like, normally the boys go nuts. The bench was just silent and mouths were open, and we were just like, oh my God, that was absurd. And Hicks had the ability to do that. He didn't do it that often, but I remember another one. He caught Brendan Gallagher in Montreal, and then he threw his gloves, like insta shed his gloves. His gloves ended up in like the 16th row, and they had this like spirited like smaller guy battle fight. It was just the greatest thing. I mean, Hicks had the ability to lower the boom. I'll tell you, he had that center of gravity, and he get the backward, butt wiggle like coming across on you. And And that hit on Drouin was honestly one of my favorites of all time.
Yeah, my favorite part about that hit specifically is that I didn't know if it was in the moment. You don't know if it's clean. You don't know if it's dirty because it happened so quick. And I came back to the bench, and I remember looking at you, Cal, and like I'm trying to gauge the reaction. And it was a playoff game, so everyone was up, and there was so much energy. And I just looked at you, and you just looked like. You just went like that. I was like, okay. If I think Clutter thought that was clean, that must have been it.
He's giving the nod.
But I always remember looking at you right after that. But let's go back, way back when we're talking about your career and talking about you getting to 1,000 games. And there was some great stuff that was brought up. I played with you forever. I didn't know this, but it sounds like early in your career in junior, you thought about quitting. You didn't know if hockey was for you, and your dad sort of talked you out of it. Can you go into a little detail for us with that?
Yeah, I was an underager in Toronto, St. Mike's Majors, and when I got there, the team was pretty good. And I remember my first game. I don't know why I did this, but I think it was like my second shift. There was like a 20-year-old on the other team. I hit him, and he cross-checked me, just like a little like cross-check, get out of here. And without thinking, I dropped my gloves and I started just throwing right hands, and I ended up beating him up pretty good. And I think the coach kind of looked at me after that and was like, "Oh, okay. You like to kind of mix it up, do you?" So the first 5 months of my career were spent playing about 5 or 6 minutes a night and kind of being sent out there to fight here and there. And I remember a game in Barrie. We were playing. Brian Little was an underager as well, and fellow first rounder of the OHL. And I played about 4 minutes. I think I got 17 minutes in penalties, and and he scored 4 goals. And it had been about 4 months of this, and then we took the bus back to Toronto. My dad, who was living in Toronto at the time working, picked me up at the rink to drive me back to my billet's house. And he could tell something was wrong, and I just was totally defeated and demoralized. And I just was like, Brian Little scoring 4 goals out here, and like I'm not even playing 4 minutes. Like I don't think this is for me. I miss home. I'm not doing well. And I remember it being like, it was like an hour and a half conversation in the car. But the gist of the conversation was basically like, it's not going your way right now. But I would give it some time, give it a week, give it a couple days, give it a month. We'll see how it goes. And I did. And I think that conversation kind of helped just get the thought of quitting out of my mind. Or at least the insecurity out of my mind for a little bit. Things didn't necessarily get better that quickly, but I remember that year in the playoffs, we had a couple injuries, and I was able to move up in the lineup and actually had a really good playoff. And I think we lost in Game 7 of the conference final. So I was able to be a big part of a good team, and I think that sort of solidified my confidence to continue, and ended up getting traded out of Toronto and going to Oshawa and having a pretty decent junior career. And obviously things worked out. So I got to give my dad a lot of credit. He was there when I needed him, for sure.
Yeah, thankfully he talked some sense into you, and I think for all of us and for the game, and as we talked about 1,000 games, and being a young guy in Oshawa, so we got to talk about your facial hair, and I don't know what my favorite version of Cal Clutterbuck is, and I know you're clean shaven today, but I think we got a few that we can go through. What's the ideal look? We know you're under. There's some rules right now that you got to be clean shaven, but which one of these looks are you bringing back the second that you're able to? I like the little flavor saver, whatever it's involved. I don't see it right here, but as we go through, what's the favorite Cal Clutterbuck look?
I think the favorite is sort of the police officer Tom Selleck, straight mustache. maybe that one right there with a little bit on the bottom, but yeah, I loved wearing a mustache. I love Movember, and obviously because of my milky white skin and my extremely dark facial hair, it obviously pops. So I like having a beard as well, but the mustache is definitely something that got me a little extra notoriety.
Oh, that's great. Yeah,
I was gonna say my personal favorite. I think there's one of you post game with your glasses on, and you look like Kevin Smith from Jay and Silent Bob. So I think that's my personal.
Yeah. That one was good too.
That was a good one.
So Cal, we got a fun little game we played. It's called "What Were You Thinking?" So we're going to show you some photos, and you just take us through it. What's going through your mind when you see this photo? What were you thinking? Do you remember this?
Yeah, that's my first NHL goal. I think I was thinking, oh my God, you just bobbled the puck. You got a perfect puck in the slot. I bobbled it for a second. I was like, you better get this shot off, and I did get it off. See me bobble it there a little, and so I finally got it off. But I was thinking, oh my God, did you just really bobble that in the slot?
Can't pass up those slot shots. All right, so the next
Oh.
one on what were you thinking? When we get to it here after we watch the Selly. What is that? I think this was a pretty big moment. I don't know if you remember which one that was.
That is an empty net goal against Washington, I think, in Game 6 at the Coliseum.
Which,
I think.
at the time.
Yeah. Again, I was thinking just get it by the D-man and in the net, and we're going back to Wash. That was a big one. That Coliseum was bumping that day. That was a gritty series against the Capitals. Probably one of the most physical 7 games I've been a part of. That series was a lot of fun.
And that was, at the time, that was the last goal. I know the team went back to the Coliseum and played, but for a few years there, it looked like probably the last one that was ever going to be scored there. So take a look at this next one. What were you thinking in this moment right here? That's Brent Seabrook, I believe.
That was a playoff game. I remember that hit. I was thinking, I'm so glad that skate didn't hit me in the face because it came up quick, and that would have been ugly. But yeah, going into that, I remember feeling like I really needed to give it everything I had because obviously Siebes is a big dude. So, had to get the place going. But yeah, after, like, as I was skating away, I was just like, oh my God, that skate came so close to kicking me in the chin.
I was going to say Seabrook is no light character either, so that was an impressive hit. All right, next one on what were you thinking? Let's take a look at this one, see if you can remember. You're doing pretty good so far.
I think I got hurt on this play. I think I was going to dump a puck in, and I think it's Radko Gudas was coming to hit me, and I wanted to give him my patented reverse hit, but he went low on me, and I ended up hitting my head off the ice and missed the game because of that one. But yeah, that was, I probably should have dumped it in a little earlier and just kind of skated to the bench, but oh well, you live and learn.
From watching you, Cal, you almost, if it's a guy like Gudas, you know he's going to hit you. You almost relish that opportunity to hold on to the puck for that moment longer and sort of surprise the guy, pretending that maybe you don't know that he's coming and give a reverse hit. But Gudas is a guy that certainly you know that he's looking for you as much as you're looking for him. Let's take a look at this next one here. What were you thinking?
Oh, that's I think Yankee Stadium. I was just thinking of how cold it was outside. It was freezing out that day, and I was like, geez, I hope the benches are heated. But yeah, I again, with that play there, I blew an edge and then was like, man, Nelly was Grabs was open, so I just desperation tried to put it over, and ended up being a pretty nice goal by Nell. But that was a cool game.
That was the coldest day in New York since I've lived here, by far.
Yeah, we played the Rangers.
Played the day before.
Yeah, we played the day before with the Devils Rangers, and that was freezing. I had to come in the third period
Oh,
off
it was
the bench.
frigid.
Oh, I wanted nothing to do with it. All right, we got one more here. Last one, then we'll let you go. What do you got out of this one? This is a good one.
Yeah, that one's just I think it's kind of a full circle picture with Marty all dressed up in the back there, obviously getting some FaceTime, but you know, just to have my my family and my kids out there for that moment was and my parents. You know, I think you don't get many moments to kind of reflect on your career while you're still playing, and you know, with the video and all my teammates there, and my family and my parents and my kids and my wife, just one of those moments where, like I said, that conversation with my dad, those memories flood back, and you're just thankful for all the people who have kind of urged you along and given you the confidence to go out there and be yourself every day, and you know, do it as long as I've been able to do it. That was a special night.
A special night for sure, Cal, and a special career. We wish you the best of luck moving forward here. Good luck in your game tomorrow, and thanks for stopping by. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, good luck, Clutter. Great having you, buddy.
Thanks, boys. Appreciate it. That was a lot of fun.